Assalamualaikum. Today our group will discuss about Islamic perspective in decision analysis and project scheduling techniques. My name is Fatihah Alyaa and this is my group member QISTINA BATRISYIA, SYAZWIN, SYAZA AMIRA and LIYANA. To start with, I will be presenting on the first technique, which is decision analysis. The objective of decision analysis is clear. It helps decision maker choose the best strategy when faced with multiple alternative and uncertain future events. By analyzing risk and offering probability-based insights, decision analysis allows us to anticipate possible favorable or unfavorable outcomes, helping us make informed and confident choices.
Next, there are several underlying concepts in decision analysis, which are the basic ideas we need to understand before making a smart and effective decision. The first concept is decision alternatives, which refer to the different choices or actions that we can take. For example, a business might need to decide between launching a new product or improving an existing one. These alternatives form the foundation of any decision-making process. Another important concept is the state of nature. This refers to the future events or conditions that are beyond our control, such as fluctuations in market demand or shift in customer preferences. These uncertain events can significantly impact the outcome or our decisions. We then consider the outcome or payoffs, which are the result we get from the combination of the decision we make and what actually happens. These outcomes can be positive, like profit and customer satisfaction, or negative, such as loss or failure. In some cases, we may also be able to estimate the probabilities of each possible state of nature. This means we try to determine how likely each event is to occur. When this information is available, it can help us calculate which decision may bring the most favorable result. However, it is important to note that not all situations allow us to know these probabilities exactly. Finally, we apply decision criteria, which are the rules or methods we use to select the best decision alternatives. These criteria can vary depending on our goals. For instance, some decision makers may focus on minimizing risk while others aim for the highest possible return. In summary, understanding these 5 concepts allow us to approach decision making in a structured, logical and confident way.
The Quranic verse that relate to this technique is from Surah Ash-Shura verse 38. And those who respond to their Lord establish prayer, conduct their affairs by mutual consultation and donate from what we have provided for them. This verse highlights the principle of shura or collective consultation as a key part of managing affairs. Based on Tafsir Ibn Kathir, the verse and their affairs are decided by mutual consultation highlights the importance of shura, which is making decisions through collective discussion. The Prophet Muhammad practiced this by consulting his companions on critical matters like warfare and community affairs, which build trust and unity. A key historical example is when Caliph Umar bin Al-Khattab, before his death, appointed a council of 6 companions to choose the next leader. Through their consultation, they agreed to appoint Uthman bin Affan as the next Khalifah. This shows that consultation was deeply embedded in both leadership and community decision-making in Islam. Another significant verse that relates to decision analysis technique comes from Surah Al-Imran verse 159. And consult them in the matter, and when you have decided, then rely upon Allah. Indeed, Allah loves those who rely upon Him. This verse teaches us that after consultation, once a decision is made, we must place our trust in Allah. This reflects a balanced approach, combining rational analysis with spiritual reliance. Based on Tafsir Ibn Kathir, the Prophet Muhammad emphasized consultation or shura by seeking advice from his companions on important matters like battles and treaties. This reflects the value of group decision-making, where gathering diverse opinions leads to informed and more accepted decisions. After consulting and making a decision, the verse instructs to place trust in Allah, which parallels the idea of committing confidently to a decision, even when outcomes are uncertain. The Prophet applied consultation in many key events, like before the Battle of Badr, he consulted whether to intercept the caravan and where to set the camp. At Uhud, he asked whether to defend Medina or face the enemy outside. At Hudaybiyah, Abu Bakr advised against fighting and the Prophet agreed. He even consulted companions about sensitive personal matters like the false accusation against Aisha. These examples show that consultation was central in both military, political and personal affairs.
From both Quranic verses, Surah Ash-Shura and Surah Al-Imran, we can see strong support for the underlying concepts of decision analysis. Firstly, the practice of shura encourages open dialogue and the exchange of ideas. When people consult one another, various perspectives and suggestions are brought to the table. This directly supports the concept of decision alternative, as a consultation helps generate more creative ideas, uncover better options, and ultimately allows for a wider range of choices to be considered before making a decision. Secondly, mutual consultation promotes listening to diverse views and experiences, which ties into the concept of state of nature. By listening to different people, we can better anticipate possible future scenarios, understand potential risks, and be more prepared for uncertainty. Thus, shura enhances our awareness of what may happen and how those outcomes might impact our decision. Thirdly, shura fosters a collective effort to choose wisely and fairly, which supports the concept of decision criteria. When a group decides together, there is a greater chance that the decision will be evaluated from multiple angles. This encourages fairness, critical thinking, and thoughtful evaluation based on shared values and goals, qualities that are essential when selecting the best alternative. Lastly, both Quranic verses highlight that decision made through consultation should be followed by trust in Allah, which is tawakkul. This reflects a commitment to ethical decision making. Ashura is grounded in values such as justice, respect, wisdom, and trust, all of which are crucial in making sound and ethical decisions. When decisions are made with integrity and sincerity, and then entrusted to Allah, it is ensured not only strategic thinking but also spiritual grounding.
Illustration for decision analysis. The organizational development team at HK Company is deciding between holding a weekend retreat or a one-day in-house workshop to improve employee engagement. They are unsure how employees will respond, whether many will be eager to join or if interest will be low. If enthusiasm is high, they expect about 80% attendance for the retreat and 70% for the workshop. But if interest is low, attendance might fall to 30% for the retreat and 50% for the workshop. Using these estimates, they want to choose the option that will get the best participation and use resources wisely. They are considering two options. This is what we call decision alternative. First, to organize a weekend retreat, and second, to conduct a one-day in-house workshop. Next, we identify the states of nature which are high and low employee interest in participating. To compare the option, the team used attendance rate as the estimated payoff. This means they are focusing on how many employees are likely to attend each event depending on the level of the interest. The table is a summary of the estimated outcome based on the given information. By assigning probabilities to each state of nature, the team can calculate the expected attendance rate for each alternative. This helps them to get the best decision based on likely employee behavior.
So next, I will present Technique 2, which is project scheduling. The objective of project scheduling, it is to ensure timely completion of the project by planning and organizing tasks with set timeline. Also, project scheduling helps meet deadline efficiently. Project scheduling also used to allocate resources effectively, where scheduling ensure that manpower, materials, and finances are used optimally without waste or conflict.
Now, we're diving into the essential concept of project scheduling by starting on the slack time. Slack time is the amount of time a task can be delayed without affecting the overall project completion dates. It helps project managers identify which tasks can be delayed and prioritize resources effectively. Next is program evaluation review technique, or known as PERT, which is a probabilistic method used to estimate project duration when there's uncertainty in task duration. PERT uses 3 estimates for each task: optimistic, most likely time, and pessimistic. This method is great for handling uncertainty, especially in projects when there are many unknowns. Last one is CPM, which is a deterministic method used to optimize project schedules. CPM identifies the critical path, which is the longest sequence of dependent tasks that determine the minimum project duration. CPM focuses on the task order and dependencies to ensure tasks are done in the correct sequence.
The first Quranic verse for project scheduling is Surah Al-Hajj, Ayah 18. You who believe, fear Allah, and let every soul look to what it has put forth for tomorrow, and fear Allah. Indeed, Allah is acquainted with what you do. Tafsir Ibn Khatir. This verse encourages planning for the future and preparing for what lies ahead, not just in the hereafter, but also in worldly matters. It teaches believers to reflect on their action, decision, and consequences much like project scheduling, ensure thoughtful planning to meet future goals. For example, Prophet Muhammad prepared meticulously for Hijrah, which is migration to Medina, by firstly choosing a guide, which is Abdullah ibn Uraykid, second, planning the route, arranging supplies, and hiding in cave Thor.
Let's move on to the next slides on how the underlying principle of time consciousness embedded in Surah Al-Hajj provides the importance of managing time proactively in projects. The verse, "Look to what it has put forth for tomorrow," teaches time sensitivity and prioritization in slack time. This part of the verse urges to be aware of how we use our time as it directly impacts our future. Other than that, we also must evaluate our actions and plan them with purpose, prioritizing what matters the most. Managing slack time ensures efficiency, where the tasks are done at the right time without unnecessary delay or wasted resources. By being mindful of time and planning for the future, project teams can better manage uncertainties and utilize resources effectively. Next, the Quranic verse also supports the underlying concept of PERT or CPM by promoting accountability and future planning. This verse emphasizes the importance of foresight, just as PERT and CPM require anticipating the future and long-term outcomes. Additionally, the verse calls on every soul to reflect on its deeds. This is an act of self-evaluation and accountability, paralleling how project managers regularly review progress, assess task completion, and adjust plans to stay on track. Just as the verse advises individuals to act with awareness and responsibility in anticipation of future consequences, effective project scheduling requires clear planning, task prioritization, and efficient time use to achieve successful outcomes.
The second Quranic verse for project scheduling is Surah Yusuf Ayah 47. Yusuf said, "You will sow for 7 consecutive years, then what you harvest, leave in its spikes, except a little from which you will eat." This verse is part of Prophet Yusuf's interpretation of the Egyptian king's dream, which involved 7 fat cows being devoured by 7 lean cows and 7 green ears of corn and 7 dry ones. Prophet Yusuf alaihi salam, inspired by Allah, interpreted the dream not only spiritually but also practically by providing an economic policy for Egypt. He advised that Egypt should continue normal agriculture production for 7 years of abundance, store the harvested grain in its spike, a technique to preserve freshness and prevent spoilage, and consume only a small portion of the harvest.
Based on Surah Yusuf earlier, the verse "accept a little from which you will eat" supports the underlying concept of slack time by reserving resources and times. Project managers may allocate buffer times to tasks that don't lie on the critical path. These buffers are explicitly reserved, designed to absorb potential delays that might occur in preceding tasks, even those on the critical path. Resembling the buffer, planning acts like stored reserve of time or resources. Just as Yusuf preserved grain for future use, slack time prepares for potential risks or uncertainties without the project. In terms of PERT or CPM, the Quranic verse supports the underlying concept by preparing contingency planning. From the verse, Yusuf a.s. forecasts future difficulties and plans accordingly. This aligns with PERT's ability to account for uncertainty by using 3-time estimation.
Illustration for project scheduling. A committee in IIUM is planning to organize a sport carnival in 4 months from now. They can use project scheduling to systematically allocate tasks such as venue booking, sponsorship outreach, event promotion, equipment preparation, and volunteer coordination across specific timelines. In conclusion, both decision analysis and project scheduling help us make better decisions, plan wisely, manage resources, and stay organized, all of which lead to better results in any decision making and task or event management. When we relate this to the Islamic perspective, we see that the values of consultation, planning and preparation, resource management, and trust in Allah are strongly encouraged in Quran. This shows us that using proper planning tool is not just practical but also in line with our faith, guiding us to make thoughtful, effective, and responsible decisions. And with that, we have reached the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening.